A single small action can change the entire course of your life. It might sound strange, but the way you start your morning could decide how you face the world. In a place where the ocean roars and soldiers train in freezing darkness, a Navy SEAL commander learned life's deepest lessons, not from comfort, but from pain, failure, and moments when quitting seemed easier than breathing. These lessons aren't just for warriors, they're for anyone who's ever felt lost, stuck, or ready to give up. What if the secret to courage, hope, and success was hidden in the simplest of acts? This is the story of how tiny habits build unshakable strength, and why you must never, ever ring the bell. The morning sun was barely rising when the sound of a whistle ripped through the cold air. The young trainees jumped from their beds, hearts pounding, bodies sore from the day before. But before they could face the brutal drills ahead, there was one simple rule. The bed had to be made perfectly. Corners sharp as a knife, sheets tight enough to bounce a coin. It seemed pointless at first. After all, what difference could it possibly make? They were about to be covered in mud, soaked in icy water, and pushed to the edge of their limits. Why waste time making a bed? But over time, the truth became clear. That small task was more than just folding a blanket. It was the first victory of the day. It was a signal to the mind. I am in control. I can create order in a world full of chaos. And when everything else went wrong, when every plan fell apart, there was still that one thing they had done right. The bed was made. It was a quiet reminder that no matter how bad things get, you can always take the first step toward discipline, toward progress. In life, we wait for big victories, the perfect moment, the life-changing opportunity. But the real transformation begins with something small. The first push-up, the first page you read, the first coin you save. And just like making the bed, it builds a chain of wins, one after another, until you've built a life full of achievement. Some people spend years searching for motivation, but maybe motivation begins the moment you straighten that pillow and tuck in those sheets. Because here's the truth. If you can't manage to do the little things right, how will you ever do the big things? Success isn't built in a day. It's built every morning, one small, quiet victory at a time. And tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you'll face the same choice. Walk past your bed and leave it messy, or stand tall, take a breath, and start your day with a win. The decision will be yours, but the results will follow you everywhere. The ocean was black that night, waves crashing like thunder under the moonless sky. 6 tiny rubber boats, each carrying a crew of exhausted trainees, fought against the current. Every muscle ached, every breath burned, but quitting wasn't an option. Out there, one thing became clear. No one could paddle alone. If one man slowed down, the whole boat dragged behind. If one man gave up, they all suffered. Victory or failure, it would come as a team. Life isn't much different. We all like to believe we're self-made, that our strength alone will carry us to the top. But the truth? Every great victory is built on the shoulders of others. The friend who believed in you when no one else did. The mentor who showed you a path you couldn't see. The stranger whose small kindness came at the moment you needed it most. You may be the one holding the paddle, but someone else is steadying the boat. In the SEAL teams, they learned to match their rhythm, to trust that the man beside them wouldn't stop paddling, even when his arms screamed for mercy. And in life, we need that same trust. You can't face the storms alone. The days when failure crushes you, when your dreams feel out of reach, when everything seems impossible. That's when you need your crew. Not just to push you forward, but to remind you why you started paddling in the first place. So when you find those people, the ones who row with you through rough waters, hold on to them, invest in them. Lift them up when they fall behind, because someday you'll need them to do the same for you. The greatest journeys are never solo missions. Out there, in the middle of the ocean or in the middle of life's battles, it's not about how strong you are alone, it's about how strong you are together. And together, you can reach any shore. The smallest man in the training class could barely see over the edge of the boat, but his spirit towered above everyone else. While others complained about the cold, he grinned. While the bigger, stronger men slowed down, he pushed harder. He didn't have the height, the reach, or the raw power of the rest, but what he did have was a heart that refused to quit. And in the brutal world of SEAL training, that was worth more than muscle. Life has a way of convincing us that we're too small, too weak, too inexperienced to win. We measure ourselves against titles, bank accounts, and appearances, forgetting that the real measure of a person is invisible. Courage doesn't come from size. It comes from the fire inside you when the world says you can't. Determination isn't about strength. It's about refusing to stop even when strength runs out. And compassion, the kind that lifts others when they're falling, can turn the smallest figure into the biggest presence in the room. In the toughest moments of training, when exhaustion blurred vision and pain blurred thought, the smallest man in the boat never gave less than his best. His energy became contagious. His refusal to quit pulled others through the worst nights. And when the final test came, it wasn't the tallest or strongest who stood out. It was him. The truth is, life doesn't care about your size, status, or background. What matters is the size of your heart when the challenge comes. Will you face the storm head-on, or will you shrink back? Will you help someone else climb when you've already reached the top? That's what defines you. And if your heart is big enough, the world will have no choice but to notice you. No matter how small you seem. The sand was cold, clinging to every inch of their skin. They called it being a sugar cookie, rolling in the wet surf until you were covered head to toe in gritty sand, then staying that way for the rest of the day. It didn't matter if you were the fastest runner, the strongest swimmer, or the smartest in the class. If the instructor decided you'd done something wrong, or simply wanted to test you, you were in the sand. No explanations, no arguments, no mercy. At first, it felt unfair. Some trainees had done nothing wrong, yet they were punished anyway. But that was the lesson. Life is not fair. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop wasting energy feeling sorry for yourself. In the real world, you will work hard and still be overlooked. You will do everything right and still lose. You will face criticism for things beyond your control. And when it happens, you'll have two choices: sit in the sand and complain, or keep moving forward, sand and all. In SEAL training, the sugar cookie drill wasn't about humiliation. It was about resilience. Could you keep performing when you were cold, wet, and uncomfortable? Could you keep your focus when the situation was far from perfect? That's the real test, because success is never built in perfect conditions. The people who rise in life aren't the ones who avoid the sand. They're the ones who march forward despite it. So when life dumps you into the surf, when you feel the weight of unfairness pressing on you, remember the sugar cookie. Accept it. Stand up anyway. Keep going with sand in your shoes, salt in your eyes, and a heart that refuses to stop. Because in the end, it's not about how clean you stayed. It's about how far you went, no matter how much sand you had to carry. In SEAL training, there was one punishment everyone feared: the circus. It wasn't a show under bright lights. It was 2 more hours of grueling exercise at the end of an already exhausting day. Push-ups, flutter kicks, long runs until your muscles felt like fire. The circus was for those who had fallen short, who hadn't met the day's standard. And everyone knew, too many trips to the circus, and your body would eventually break. But something unexpected happened. The ones who endured the circus began to change. Their muscles hardened, their stamina grew, their pain tolerance soared. While others rested, they suffered. But in that suffering, they became stronger than the rest. What was meant as punishment became their training ground for greatness. Life will give you your own circuses, extra challenges you didn't ask for, problems you didn't expect, work you didn't think you could handle. You'll be tempted to curse them, to see them as unfair obstacles holding you back. But if you embrace them, those very challenges can shape you into someone unstoppable. The extra hours, the tough criticism, the failed attempts, they're the hidden workouts that prepare you for the moments that truly matter. So, when you find yourself in the circus, when you're exhausted, and life demands even more from you, don't back away. Push harder, because every time you survive it, you come out tougher, sharper, and more prepared for the battles ahead. The circus is never easy, but sometimes it's exactly what you need to win the war. The towering slide-for-life obstacle loomed over the training ground, a long cable stretching from the top of a high tower to the sand far below. Most trainees did it the safe way, hanging under the rope, inching forward, careful not to slip. It was slow, exhausting, and safe, but not fast. Then came the moment when one trainee ignored the usual approach. Instead of crawling underneath, he threw himself over the top, headfirst, arms and legs tight to the cable. He flew down faster than anyone before him. It was risky. If he lost his grip, the fall could break bones, but he didn't fall. He broke the record. That moment carried a lesson most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Sometimes, to win, you can't just follow the safest path. The world tells us to play it safe, to stick to what's proven, to move carefully so we don't fail. But safe rarely leads to extraordinary. There are times when you have to lean forward, trust yourself, and take the leap, even if it means you might crash. Taking risks doesn't mean being reckless. It means knowing the danger, feeling the fear, and doing it anyway because the reward is worth it. It means not letting the what-ifs chain you to the slow lane of life. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every world-changing idea began with someone deciding to slide down the obstacle headfirst instead of crawling under it. In your own life, you'll face moments where the safe way is obvious, but the bold way is calling your name. When that moment comes, remember the seal on the cable. Grip tight, trust your training, and go for it. Because the fastest way to your dream might just be the one that scares you the most. The moon cast a silver path across the dark ocean as the small boat cut through the waves. It was night swim training, miles through cold black water to reach the shore. The instructors had one last warning before they jumped in. Out there are sharks. If one circles you, don't swim away, don't panic, and whatever you do, don't turn your back. The thought alone could freeze your blood. Every ripple, every shadow below felt like a predator waiting. But in that moment, the lesson wasn't just about the ocean. It was about life. Fear has a way of circling us just like those sharks. It comes in many shapes. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. Most people try to swim away from it, thinking distance will bring safety. But fear doesn't leave when you run, it follows you. The only way to end it is to face it head on. In SEAL training, they learned that when a shark circles, you make yourself big, you stand your ground, and you fight if necessary. In life, you do the same. When your challenges grow teeth, when your doubts close in, when you feel like turning away, that's when you plant your feet, look it in the eye, and refuse to back down. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's deciding that fear won't win. The sharks in your life might not have fins, but they can still bite. A tough conversation you've been avoiding, a risk you've been too scared to take, a dream you've been too afraid to chase. Whatever it is, remember this. Don't swim away. Face it. Because the moment you do, you'll realize the shark was never as big as the fear you built in your mind. The helicopter's blades roared overhead, slicing through the salt-heavy air. Below, the ocean churned violently. Cold, dark, unforgiving. Somewhere in those black waters, a mission was falling apart. Equipment was failing, waves were swallowing men whole. It was chaos. But in moments like that, panic was a luxury no one could afford. Every move had to be calculated, every breath deliberate, every action precise. In the middle of the storm, you had to be your very best. Life will test you in the same way. It won't always be calm seas and sunny skies. There will be nights when the news you feared arrives, days when everything you've built begins to crumble, moments when your strength feels like it's slipping through your fingers. And in those moments, you will face a choice. Let the storm consume you or rise above it. The SEALs are taught that when everything goes wrong, that's when discipline matters most. Not when it's easy, but when it's nearly impossible. In the darkest moments, you don't let emotion take the wheel. You focus on what must be done. You breathe slower, think sharper, move with purpose. Because if you lose control, you lose everything. You might never be in a combat zone, but you'll face your own battlefields. A financial collapse, a broken relationship, a devastating loss. And when that time comes, remember, the storm will pass, but what you do in that storm will define you forever. Be calm, be steady, be your very best. Because the world doesn't need your panic, it needs your strength. The cold was unbearable. The mud pit stretched for miles, swallowing the trainees up to their necks in thick, freezing sludge. The instructor stood nearby, reminding them that the night was far from over. The temperature was dropping. The wind was cutting like glass, and every second felt longer than the last. Quitting was as easy as 3 words: ring the bell. And then it happened. A single voice began to sing, off-key, shaky, but loud enough to cut through the misery. Then another voice joined in, and another, until the entire group was singing in the darkness. That night, nothing about their situation changed. The cold was still brutal, the mud still clung to their skin, and the hours still dragged on. But the moment they started singing, the mood shifted. They had found something powerful: hope. And hope is contagious. Life will drag you into your own mud pits, days when you feel stuck, broken, and too exhausted to keep going. In those moments, it's easy to sink deeper into despair. But if you can find a reason to sing, a reason to smile, to laugh, to inspire someone else, you'll discover that the mud doesn't feel quite as heavy. Sometimes your courage will be the spark that lifts not only you, but everyone around you. You don't have to wait for the storm to pass before you lift your voice. In fact, it's in the middle of the storm that your voice matters most. Because hope doesn't erase the struggle, it gives you the strength to endure it. And sometimes all it takes is one voice in the darkness to remind everyone else, we will make it out of here. At the center of the training compound hung a brass bell. It wasn't big, but it had the power to end everything. All you had to do was walk up, ring it 3 times, and the pain would stop. No more cold water. No more endless runs. No more shouting instructors. You could go home, warm, safe, and comfortable. Every day, trainees walked past that bell, and every day it whispered the same temptation: quit. Some did. They rang it and walked away. But those who made it through knew the truth. The bell is always there, in one form or another. In life, it might be the moment you want to give up on your dream because it's too hard. It might be the relationship you're ready to walk away from because working on it hurts. It might be the risk you're too scared to take because failure would sting. The bell is the easy way out, and it will always be within reach. The SEALs learned that if you want to achieve anything great, you never, ever ring the bell. You push through the freezing nights, the crushing setbacks, the exhausting days, because on the other side of all that pain is something no shortcut can give you: pride, strength, the knowledge that you didn't break when life tried to break you. You will face your own bells. They will call to you when things get hard, promising relief if you just give up. But remember this: if you quit once, it becomes easier to quit again. And if you hold on, even when your body aches, your mind screams, and your heart feels heavy, you will discover just how powerful you truly are. The bell will always be there, but you don't have to ring it. Not today, not ever. From making your bed in the morning, to refusing to ring the bell at the end, these lessons from Admiral William H. McRaven aren't just about military training, they're about life. They teach us that success begins with the smallest actions, that we cannot reach greatness alone, and that our strength is measured by the size of our heart, not the size of our body. They remind us to accept life's unfairness, to embrace extra challenges as fuel for growth, to take risks when the safe path isn't enough, to face our fears head-on, and to remain our very best when the world feels like it's falling apart. They show us that even when we are up to our necks in the mud, hope can change everything. And above all, that quitting will never take us where we truly want to go. In my eyes, this isn't just a book of principles, it's a survival guide for the mind and soul. Life is unpredictable. It will test you when you least expect it, and often when you feel least prepared. But these lessons prove that resilience is a choice, courage is a habit, and hope is a weapon. The bed you make in the morning isn't just about neat sheets. It's about setting the tone for a day where you decide to take control. The risks you take aren't just leaps into the unknown. They're steps toward a life worth living. And the moments you refuse to quit, those are the moments that will define you. So if you take anything from this story, let it be this: start small, stay strong, hold on to hope, and never, ever give up. The world is full of bells waiting for you to ring them, but your victory lies in walking past every single one. Because you're stronger than you think, you're braver than you feel, and your story isn't over yet. If this message lit even a small spark inside you, don't let it fade. Keep feeding it. Watch our other videos for more powerful stories and lessons that will keep you inspired, focused, and ready to face your own battles. And if you believe these lessons can help someone you care about, share this with them. Like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so we can keep growing together. This journey is far from over, and your next step starts now.